Hi there, if you're tuning in, don't forget to subscribe to us and also turn on the notification button. And you are now watching the RSS with HD. Hi, welcome to another edition of the RSS with HD with myself, Rashid Salleh and Haresh Deol, right here at the MKCC venue that's been sponsored to us and also by Amnig, a must name in gear. Him in a very beautiful, colourful t-shirt, and I'm dull black because I'm cool that way. Anyway, we've got a really interesting topic that we'd like to discuss because it's a topic that's rarely been talked about in especially in Malaysian sports and actually in Malaysian context. And it's something that's, I wouldn't say it's new, but I think a lot of it's been talked about, and that is obviously advocating safe sport. Now, for those of you out there who don't know what it is, Haresh will explain. Now, we were actually doing this episode because a certain former athlete have been watching our show. Thank you very much. And he'll reveal who this is and what the message is.
Okay, we received this message from former national gymnast and 1998 Commonwealth Games champion Sarina Sundara Raja. Now, she asked, I've been following your show on YouTube. Would you be open to help highlight the importance of safe sport in Malaysia? Now, thank you so very much, Sarina, once again for reaching out to us. And yeah, safe sport is basically to create a safe sporting environment for athletes who will not be abused, harassed physically, mentally, emotionally. Now, there have been several events leading up to this topic. Most importantly, there was this particular incident involving a dance instructor.
That was the latest one.
Yeah, that was the latest
I do
one.
remember a case with in swimming with this alleged harassment or rather abuse by a coach and swimmers. But again, I don't know, can't remember whether it was swept under the carpet or he was charged and then...
No, there were claims, there were allegations that a particular coach was too hard on his athletes. That was one, and there was also the infamous case whereby a coach was hauled up for allegedly, once again, having a sexual relationship with an athlete. Now, this matters may not be highlighted as much as it should be.
As normal, a physical abuse case.
Correct.
But there's still the same content.
Correct.
Let's try and break it down to two parts.
Yeah.
Let's look at the because we look at one is a physical type of abuse, or
Correct.
it doesn't have to be rape, and the other one is the sexual harassment or abuse. So both are both physical and mental. Let's look at the bits where in the past when we've had sportsmen who have gone the extra mile and the coaches say, you've got to do better, this and that and the other. Does that constitute as unsafe?
Yeah, in fact, there was a study, but before we go into that, let's speak about the 2017 research on sexual harassment in Malaysian sports. And there was a study done, and it was actually done by the Prevalence of Sexual Harassment in Sports, Malaysian Athletes Experience. It was by Shaira Fatina, Shafira Shahiran, and Muhammad Faizal and Nur Hafiza from the National Sports Institute Division of Research and Education and College University Polytech Mara. Now that's a mouthful, but basically the stats are shocking. Out of 422 respondents, 15.9% experienced sexual harassment in sports. That's a huge number. 46.3% of the victims represented Malaysia in international tournaments, our elite national athletes. 28% of the respondents experienced impaired performance, psychological and health well-being.
Now, these statistics are quite... Now, here's the thing though. Prior to this, there were there were no avenues for these athletes to be able to voice it. Now, this research was done only 3 years ago.
Yep.
Only 3 years ago. Our sport has been going on for since 1957. But
Even
why
before.
hasn't it been? Why has it been either swept under the carpet? Why has it taken this long for people to realize that there are certain areas that are safe and unsafe? Because athletes could not identify that, because we didn't know whether we're, I'm saying we, even at a lower level, where does the education start, and why wasn't it done before, or rather, why wasn't it identified before?
The key word you use, education. Perhaps in the past, people were not very familiar with the subject. They took a simple touch like this as something as normal or common, but today it can be construed or misconstrued as something else altogether. You see, so the landscape has changed. People are more well informed these days. People are more educated, and people appreciate their space.
But people do say touch is important.
Correct. So, but going back to the 2017, I need to highlight this. The shocking bit also includes, from the 67 victims, 68.7%, I repeat, 68.7% had 1 to 3 times sexual harassment experiences.
Wow.
The rest had more than 3 times throughout their involvement in sports. Most common type of sexual harassment: unwelcome jokes, questions, or sexual utterance, and also suspicious body contacts.
Suspicious body contacts.
8 out of 18 female victims, or 44.4%, reported they had unpleasant invitation, and 2 male victims had experienced tendency towards rape. Now that's alarming. But touch is important, as you rightfully pointed out. Early studies in children orphanages in England showed that after the World War II, it revealed that children who were not hugged or not touched were actually they felt left out. They felt alone, unwanted. And compared to those who were hugged, almost every day by their caretakers. In 2000, a research focused on the enriching effects of touch, including positive influence on the physical growth, IQ scores, and social emotional well-being of children. So touch is important in that aspect. But what is acceptable?
Exactly.
High-five acceptable? A pat on the back?
Even a handshake these days could be construed as
Correct.
something else.
Okay, well, what about those chest bumps?
Chest bumps.
Yeah.
Amongst guys might be construed as,
So these days it's really open for discussion, and what is acceptable and what is not acceptable.
Yeah, but there must be a line drawn, because then we could reach a stage where people will stop communicating with each other.
Yeah.
As already is, because people are on their phones anyway, on their mobile phones, smartphones, and communicating silently.
So here's the tricky bit, Rashid. As you rightfully pointed out with regards to that communication, here's the tricky bit. If, let's say, for example, you are dejected after a game, and if a coach were to come up to you, put his or her hand on your shoulder to console you, how would you construe that?
Again, that's up to the individual. But again, that's very hard to gauge. I'll give an example. I was in Turkey for the World Championships, and our athlete, Colin Augustin, had the day before secured a bronze medal for Malaysia. The next day she was fighting in the semi-finals to get to the finals, and she lost. It was the first time she had ever lost an amateur MMA competition. Came out crying. We had the coach, all male, coach had his arms around him. We were consoling her. We also, but it was more of a family feel rather than us, taking advantage. But from people outside, how would you construe it as? Because combat sports is already a physical, touchy sport. But are we not allowed to do that? I'm a father, and it was more of a fatherly
approach,
consoling approach, rather than. I would want to say the word, but
No, but You're absolutely right to say that. So the question is, how would outsiders view what has just happened? Yeah, I mean, your intentions may be clear, you may be noble, and then if, let's say for example, the athlete goes back and the athlete goes like, oh, I felt he was taking advantage of me during that situation, and that one happens.
It only takes one statement or one complaint, and someone's reputation could be at stake. So, do you look at their past to see whether they've always been like that, and if so, why hasn't anyone said, with the example like you said, the dance instructor, why hasn't that been highlighted, or what needs to be done in terms of, you know, there must be some kind of format, some kind of...
True. Yep. And in fact, this matter was how would I say, the right word would be, was highlighted by the previous sports commissioner, Datuk Zaitun. Yeah. So what she did was, in March 2019, she had revealed that former Olympic Council of Malaysia Secretary General Datuk Lau Beng Chu, who's heavily involved in softball, she will lead a harassment and abuse committee. But here's the sad reality: since 2019 March till today, we've not heard of the formation of that particular committee. Even Datuk Lau herself admits that she has not received any information pertaining what's next. A proper structure, a solid, who will be part of the committee, and so forth and so on. Now, this committee is important because this committee will look at harassment and abuse. And when we talk about harassment, as you pointed out in the earlier part of the show, it's not just sexual, it's not just physical. There's also harassment online, cyberbullying. Yeah, there's also harassment verbal. Sometimes people may not like the way a particular coach or a particular official speaks to him or her. So that affects the performance, the whole mental state of mind.
Especially with a culture like our country, there's so diverse. The way someone speaks could be misconstrued as anger. But if you don't understand the way people speak in this country, and we've had foreign coaches who've come in and said, I don't like the way he speaks, but he's not being hateful or anything, it's just the way he speaks. So, and we've had coaches in the past, after a year, they're like, oh, okay, now I understand why he's the way he is, because when they come from a different culture, everyone speaks the same. I know whether they're Scandinavian, they all speak monotone. But in Malaysia, even going from the south to the north, you already have different types of, intonation, connotations, different the way they speak. So that has a lot to do with whether, these things are said, especially if it's approached to somebody else, whether they're bullying or not. Again, this country is so complicated. Now, moving forward, our solutions, you said, okay, so Datuk, former SC, Datuk Zaitun, had opened up this idea, concept. But where do we go from here, and what should be done? Does the NSI take the lead? Who should take the lead in this?
If it was revealed by the Sports Commissioner herself, then rightfully the Sports Commissioner's office, the current Sports Commissioner, should take cue of what has been proposed and ensure that there is continuity. Move forward, get the whole mechanics in place, and if Beng Chu is the right person to do this, so be it. Let's get this started. Otherwise, we'll never have something of this sort in the country. Now, the other most important thing is education. Now, education starts from home, and parents need to advise their children what safe sport is all about, what safe touch is all about. It correlates both of these things. Safe touch and safe sports. Where the boundaries, what to do if, let's say for example, if you believe that your child, or advise your child if he or she believes that he's been touched inappropriately, or the words have been said were inappropriate in the context of the situation, to voice out. It's very important to voice out and to seek help. There's no shame in it.
Yeah, the most important thing I think for young athletes, and we do engage a lot with young athletes, both for myself and MMA and rugby, we encourage them to speak. Whether it's good or bad, I think communication is the utmost importance between an athlete and their coaches or the higher ups. So It is ironic because that was something that was always taught when we took up sports in,
Yes.
I suppose, in the 70s and 80s. And now it's like a full circle, because I think along the way people focused so much on their performances that we forget that the whole holistic view of the coaches, and that's all very important in the well-being of an athlete, whether he's good or not.
Yes.
So, yeah.
So hopefully we see safe sport, being advocated in the Malaysian context, and I really hope that through this conversation it would spur more conversations, so that people will actually look at safe sport seriously.
Yes,
it's
that's
part of the International Olympic Committee's recommendations as well to encourage safe sport. So why not? Let's do it.
Yeah, especially here in Malaysia.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Harish, for that lovely conversation that we've had on the RSS with HD. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, turn on the notification, and leave your comments. And thank you very much to Sarina for giving us that really good topic to talk about as well. You have been watching the RSS with HD.